Are Pam and Tommy handling this whole tape scandal well together? Are they handling it well as a couple, as individuals? Let's dig into their conflict resolution and how they are working through this together. Before I get started, I want to let you know that this is not just about psychoanalyzing these characters or this show. It's also about us understanding what it is that we need. I'm going to give you some journaling prompts at the end of the video to help you understand what you need in a relationship when you're going through something like this or that is emotionally similar. It might not be exactly the same, so what they're going through is quite specific. And also, before we get any further, if you haven't met me before, I'm Cheryl Muir, relationship expert, professional fangirl, lover of film and television. And this is Relationship Expert Reacts, where we look at series like this and look at their relationships and see what we can learn about ourselves vicariously through them. I want to focus on two different things today. I want to focus on how they're handling the release of the tape. And I also want to look at how they handled losing their baby. I've just actually finished watching episode 4 just now for the second time. And yeah, the first time I watched it, I cried like hell. And the second time I watched it, I cried as well. It was really beautiful, really emotional. And, you know, this series is now taking a turn. It's really taking a turn from being really fun and lighthearted to something that is a lot more serious, and they're dealing with and digging into some really heavy topics. So let's look at the first thing, and I really want to focus a lot on Tommy and the character Tommy and how he's portrayed here. Again, this is not about the real people. This is about solely what I'm seeing on the screen. I don't want to speculate what went on in real life because I'm not going to psychoanalyze those real people because I don't know them. So the way he's being portrayed and the way that he is helping her through this, there's two things. So they handled the tape situation very poorly, I thought, emotionally together. The losing of their baby, though, they were very much together in that and helping one another through it. So let's get really specific now. How did they handle the tape? So he is more concerned about getting revenge than comforting his wife. I don't know if you picked up on that. It was not that subtle. He's more focused on revenge than her feelings. He's not attuned to her emotional needs, and we actually see this on several different occasions. We see it in the initial instance where she's going, "Oh my God, like I feel violated," and she looks at him and says, "Well, don't you?" And he's like, "No, I'm pissed." And she's like, "Oh." And there's just this real gap and this real space between what they're both experiencing emotionally. She's really distressed. He's pissed off, and he kind of jumps up and he's like, "Let's hire a private investigator." I saw that as being a massive red flag. You know, your wife's really upset and you're more concerned with revenge. That was a little bit concerning for me. And then there's another time when they're in the private investigator's office, both the first time where he's in, there's that quite humorous kind of conversation where he says, "Is there anyone you've got beef with?" And he lists off like all these names. And she's like rolling her eyes. But again, she's upset. He's not really that concerned. He's very much like ego driven at that point. And then the second time after, you know, she said, "God, I was at work and there were the cameramen like watching this video of us having sex. I was humiliated." You know how humiliating that was. And then they go to the PI again and he says, "This is what I found out." And she's walking back and forth going, Jesus Christ, oh my God." And he's not reassuring her. He's not there for her. And then they have this screaming match when they get home about how it's different for her because she's a woman. And he makes no attempt to understand that. He really doesn't see her point of view and doesn't try to. Now, also, she's not seeing his point of view either, but she does make a statement, you know, he's going to be slapped on the back for the rest of his life and she'll be thought of as a slut by everyone. And I think that's pretty accurate then in the 90s. It's probably accurate now. There's definitely a difference between how male and female sexuality is seen and accepted. And that's still the case. It should change, but it's currently still very much like that. But the point, rather than making a political statement about that, I really want you to tune into how he wasn't trying to understand her perspective. And they were seeing things completely differently. And neither of them actually were trying to see things their own way. She said he was being too chill. He said she was being crazy. They were very emotionally reactive. She tells him to get the fuck out. Now, one of the reasons why this is happening is because they got married very quickly, and they got married after partying together. You're not going to know someone if you only see them in the good times. You're not going to get a good idea of who someone is. You're not going to get the full picture if you only know someone from when they're high, when they're partying, when they're having a good time. They did not have the experience together as a couple of like, hey, what would we do if we come up against something that was challenging? Like, this is the first challenging thing they're up against as a couple, and it's major. And they don't have the history with one another. They don't know how to really resolve it, and so they're fighting for the first time over something that is not a minor issue, right? So that's the first thing. How they handled the tape together, I thought, was really concerning on his part. But then how they handle when they lose their baby is so quiet and tender and sad, and he's such a beautiful man towards her, and so comforting, and he's there for her. He's there for her right away. He's reassuring her. He comforts her. He holds her when they find out the news. You know, he's pushing the paparazzi away. He's protecting her. He's like being the protective husband. He's been there for his woman. He holds her in the street when she's just knocked the crap out of that paparazzi's car. He's just wonderful. He's so in tune with her needs then. So why is this important? And let's get to the bit that means something about you. Can you see that sometimes he's great and sometimes he's not? Sometimes he doesn't have the emotional maturity, and he's focused on, hiring the private investigator and getting revenge. And other times he's really, really, really tuned in and reassuring her. So let's get now, for those of you that watch this to the end, let's get to some of the journaling prompts and really look at this through the lens of your own relationships. Now, if you're like, oh, I'm single and I'm not in a relationship, so this isn't for me, it's completely for you. And here's why. Because you need to get really, really clear on who it is you're calling in, who it is you want to be with, and who it is you don't want to be with, so that you can call in, attract, and be in a partnership that really, really nourishes you and really meets your needs and is really satisfying and happy and healthy long term. So it's vital that you get clear on this. So this is absolutely, for those of you that are single, it's especially for you. So the first thing is about your sex life. So when it comes to your future partner, what's your need around privacy? Right? Are you comfortable with your partner talking about your sex life to your friends, to his or her co-workers? Or are you not comfortable with that? And is that a deal breaker for you? So what do you need when it comes to that privacy? What's okay with you? What isn't okay? What's the line? What's the boundary? Yeah? Get really, really clear on that. And whatever it is for you is okay. There's no right or wrong answers. It's just what it is for you, and it's what you need. The second thing is, when you experience something really traumatic, extremely upsetting, difficult, whether it's in any way similar to what these two lovers are experiencing or not, when you experience something traumatic, what do you need from your partner? What do you need from them? How do you need to be supported when you're upset and something's very emotionally difficult for you? What do you need, and what's the opposite of what you need? So something I hear from my clients, my private clients, is I need someone who's there for me when I'm upset. They stay. They don't walk away. They don't walk away. They don't leave me. They stay with me. And even though I have the skill set to be able to work through my emotions myself, I'm not expecting them to do it for me. I need them to stay. And I think I've mentioned this before, but with the particular client I'm thinking about, she said to me, like, is it okay? Am I asking too much? No, you're not asking too much to want a partner to be there and to hold you when you're upset. That's not asking too much, not at all. Now, what's the opposite of that? What don't you need? You don't want someone that's emotionally reactive, perhaps, And what type of person can give you this? What type of person can give you this? What type of person cannot give you this? So can you see in the analysis today how I talked about Tommy and how he doesn't always have the emotional maturity or emotional horsepower to separate his kind of anger and need for revenge, which is quite kind of adolescent, really. He can't separate that and be there for his wife when it comes to the tape. He's more hell-bent on revenge. Right? So he's not the type of person in that moment who has the maturity to be able to support her in the way that she probably needed to be supported. It seemed like she needed someone to understand her, and he wasn't able to do that. So what kind of person can and can't give you what you need? If you need warmth and empathy and compassion, Someone who is chronically void of empathy is not going to be able to give that to you. So next question, how can you look out for these types of people? How can you start to identify them? What are the red flags and what are the green flags? We talk about red flags a lot in dating and relationships. What are the green flags? The green flags might be when something happens, they want to understand. When something happens and you're upset, they ask, like, what do you need from me? Like, what can I do? I want to support you. What do you need? Right? They're tuned into you in that way. A red flag might be that when you are having a conversation and you're upset, they're answering that in that kind of like court of law way. Like, well, according to this means that. You know, that people answer in that way as if they're like, you know, exhibit B, Your Honour. This is not about presenting in a court of law. This is about your emotional needs. And if they're not attuned to you, and when you're fighting and when you're upset, they're coming from this like black and white, right and wrong perspective rather than trying to comfort you. That can be a red flag as well. So start to build up an awareness around what these people look like in daily life and how they are in relationships. And you can start to look out for and then tune into and lean in towards the people that have the qualities you want rather than people that do not meet your needs, cannot meet your needs. It's like you wouldn't go up to someone that you're dating and like suddenly expect them to start speaking fluent Latin. Like, they don't speak Latin. That's not their lingo. They can't do that. And so some people don't speak the language of emotional regulation, conflict resolution, empathy, compassion, warmth, right? They're just not fluent in it. They don't speak the language unless they start learning the language, to stay with the language metaphor, unless they start learning it through, you know, coaching, through books, podcasts, videos like this, whatever it might be. Unless they're learning, they're not going to change. You know, you wouldn't go back to that person 2 months later and be like, can you speak Latin yet? Well, no, they've not been studying it. So how are they going to know? So if they're learning about it, if they're doing this kind of work and they're trying to learn these relationship skills, then they will be able to. But if nothing changes, is what I'm trying to say. So I hope that was helpful. Let me know in the comments below what you took away from this. I would love for you to subscribe and also ring the notification bell to let you know next time I'm live. All the videos I'm doing at the moment are live, and there's going to be a new video on episode 5 of Pam and Tommy, which I think is out tomorrow. It'll be really interesting to see what's going to happen now between them as a couple. And I, of course, will be analysing this and also letting you know what you can learn about yourself and your relationships through some powerful questions that you can ask yourself. Thank you for watching. I'm Cheryl. This has been Relationship Expert Reacts, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.